My wife planned to leave me for her secret lover, but I beat her at her own game and walked out with her stepsister instead. My wife, let's call her Kate, and I were together for 5 years, married for 3. I met her at my buddy Super Bowl party back when I was still driving that piece of crap Civic with the busted AC. She laughed at my lame jokes and actually seemed interested in my boring IT job stories. I was hooked. Our early days were damn awesome, not gonna lie. We'd stay up till 3 a.m., just talking about random crap, playing video games, or binging shows. She was cool with me hanging with the boys on weekends, and I'd always bring her back those little chocolate things she liked from the gas station. Small stuff, you know. When we got our first apartment, it was this tiny one-bedroom with walls so thin we could hear the neighbor sneeze, but it was ours. I worked overtime for months to save up for a decent TV so we could watch football games properly. She'd always have dinner ready, waiting for me when I got home from a long shift, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. I thought I'd won in this life. Kate was hot, smart, worked as a dental hygienist, and actually seemed to dig my average a-hole self. My buddies were jealous as hell. Even my mom, who hates everyone I date, approved of Kate. That's saying something. We'd take these random weekend road trips to nowhere special. Just pick a direction and drive. One time we ended up in this shitty motel with bedbugs, but we still laughed about it. Or used to, anyway. I proposed after 2 years at this Japanese restaurant she loved. Nothing fancy, just got down on one knee between the appetizer and main course. The ring wasn't huge or anything, but she cried anyway. Good tears, you know. Said it was perfect. For the first couple of years of marriage, things were solid. We had our routines: Sunday morning pancakes, Friday night movies, little post-it notes in each other's lunch bags with inside jokes or dumb drawings. Regular stuff that made life good. I worked my a-hole off to get promoted, wanted to move us to a better place, maybe start thinking about kids. She seemed on board with everything. We were a team. Then she got that new job at the fancy dental office downtown. Better pay, better hours. I was psyched for her, took her out to celebrate and everything. That's when love started to change, but so slowly I didn't even notice at first. The new job came with new friends. Suddenly, she's going out for work drinks all the time. Started dressing differently too, nicer clothes, more makeup, the whole deal. I thought it was cool. She was fitting in with the fancy downtown crowd. Our routine started slipping. The Sunday pancakes became me eating cereal alone while she slept in. The little notes stopped. Movie nights got canceled more and more. At first I thought it was just the adjustment period, new job, new schedule, right? But weeks turned into months, and things never went back to normal. Then there were the late nights. She'd text, saying she'd be home by 7, then show up at 10 without much explanation. Work stuff was all I'd get if I asked. The phone became an extension of her hand. Always texting, always angled away from me. Password change too, which was new for us. We always knew each other's passwords before. I started wondering if I was doing something wrong. Maybe I wasn't romantic enough. Maybe work was stressing her out. I tried talking to her about it, but she'd just say everything was fine and I was overthinking. So I stepped up my game. Cleaned more, cooked her favorite meals, suggested date nights, bought random little gifts. Basically did everything I could think of to get back to how we used to be. Sometimes it seemed to work. She'd be the old Kate for a day or two, all affectionate and present. Then she'd go right back to being distant, checking her phone every 5 seconds and barely acknowledging me. I mentioned it to my friend Chris while we were gaming one night. Just casually brought up that Kate seemed different lately. Dude, that's just marriage, he said. The honeymoon phase ends, and real life kicks in. Stop being so needy. But is it needy to want your wife to actually talk to you? To want more than one-word answers and half-a-whole excuses? But I second-guessed myself. Maybe Chris was right. Maybe I was expecting too much. Maybe this was just what happened after a few years together. So I kept trying and failing and trying again. What a damn idiot I was. She kept acting weird. I remember this one time I walked into the kitchen while she was texting, and she literally jumped and flipped her phone over. When I asked what was up, she got all defensive. God, Jake, do I have to explain every text message to you? It's just work stuff. You wouldn't understand. Work stuff I wouldn't understand? Since when was dental hygiene so complicated that her IT husband couldn't grasp it? But instead of calling her out, I apologized. Actually damn apologized for asking a simple question. That's how twisted things had gotten in my head. I started trying to plan special dates, thinking maybe she was just bored with our routine. Got tickets to a concert for a band she loved, made reservations at nice restaurants, even booked a weekend getaway at this cabin in the mountains she'd been talking about. Know what happened? She found excuses to bail on almost everything. The concert, sorry, Emma's, her colleague. Going through a breakup and needs me tonight. The fancy dinner, I'm exhausted from work. Can we just order in? The weekend trip, she actually went on that one, but spent most of it on her phone. And we ended up coming home early because she suddenly wasn't feeling well. After we got back from that disaster trip, I checked our credit card statement. Online. Just a regular thing I did to make sure there weren't any weird charges. And there it was. A charge from some hotel bar downtown from the night before our trip, date and time when she was supposedly working late. When I casually mentioned it, she got super defensive. Are you checking up on me now? Stalking my purchases? That's really controlling, Jake. Controlling? For looking at our shared credit card statement? She made me feel like I was losing my mind. I started to wonder if maybe I was becoming paranoid and controlling, like, was I turning into that jealous husband who freaks out over nothing? My brain was so scrambled I couldn't tell what was normal concern and what was me overreacting, so I backed off. Tried to give her space, stopped asking questions, stopped suggesting dates, just tried to observe what the hell she was into. Her girls' nights with Emma went from once every few weeks to multiple times a week. She started going to the gym at weird hours, like 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. Kate used to hate working out, would rather die than set foot in a gym. Suddenly she's MS Fitness? Something didn't add up. One night, her stepsister Mia came over for dinner. They'd always had this weird relationship, sometimes best friends, sometimes loathing each other. Kate only invited her because their parents were pressuring them to bond more, or some love. Dinner was actually going okay at first, just normal chit-chat about family stuff, Mia's job, that kind of thing. Then Kate's phone kept buzzing with texts. She'd check it and smile, typing back quickly each time. After, like, the 10th interruption, Mia rolled her eyes and said, "Seriously, Kate, we're having dinner. Can you put the phone down for 5 minutes?" Kate got defensive. It's work. Some of us have important jobs with actual responsibilities. That was a direct shot at Mia, who was between jobs at the time. Things got tense quick. A few glasses of wine later, they were fully going at it about some old family drama. I was just sitting there, awkwardly wishing I could disappear. As Mia was leaving, she turned to me in the doorway and dropped the bomb. You know, Jake, for someone as smart as you can be really damn blind sometimes. Ask Kate about her late nights at the office. Or better yet, ask who keeps texting her all hours. Kate completely lost it, started screaming that Mia was a jealous witch, making love up to hurt her because she was miserable in her own life. The fight was epic. After Mia left, Kate was still raging about what a liar her stepsister was, how she'd always been jealous of our relationship. But here's the thing, while Kate was yelling, I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Fear, not anger. That night, I lay awake next to her for hours, just listening to her breathe, wondering what the hell was really going on. Maybe Mia was just stirring up love because of their weird sister rivalry thing, but another part of me kept replaying all the strange behavior of the past few months, and it was getting harder to ignore. The next morning, Kate acted like nothing happened, made coffee, kissed me goodbye, went to work like normal. But something had shifted inside me. I couldn't unhear what Mia had said, couldn't unsee that look of fear in Kate's eyes. For the first time, I started to think maybe I wasn't crazy after all. Maybe I wasn't the problem. Maybe there was something seriously wrong with my marriage, and it had nothing to do with me not trying hard enough. That's when I decided to stop ignoring my gut and start paying attention to what was really happening right in front of my face. So I started throwing out casual questions about her day. How's Emma doing? I'd ask, watching her reaction. Once, just once, I caught her hesitating before answering, a tiny pause. Like she had to remember what lies she'd told about Emma before. How was the office happy hour? I'd ask, not mentioning that I'd already seen on Instagram that Emma wasn't even there, despite Kate saying they'd hung out all night. Little stuff like that, building a picture piece by piece. Then I switched up my schedule, coming home at random times. Server went down, they sent us home early, I'd say, or finished that project ahead of schedule. Normal reasons to be home at unexpected times. One day about a week later, I had this gut feeling, can't explain it, just woke up knowing something was off. So I told Kate I had a morning meeting that might run into the afternoon. Instead, I drove back home around 11 a.m. Her car was in the driveway, which was weird because she should have been at work. I let myself in quietly, and I could hear her on the phone in our bedroom, laughing. Not just any laugh. That full, genuine laugh I hadn't heard her direct at me in months. When she heard the door close, there was this scrambling sound. Then she came out of the bedroom, looking flustered. "Hey, what are you doing home?" she asked, trying to sound casual but obviously freaked out. "Meeting got cancelled? What are you doing home?" "Oh, I had a half day. I forgot to mention. Just catching up on some stuff. Didn't explain the call, I didn't push it." That night, I checked our credit card statement again. There was a charge from that Italian restaurant near her office. When I casually brought it up, she got defensive. "Oh, they had that dental conference thing. We all went for drinks after. Didn't I tell you?" She hadn't, and I looked it up later. There was no dental conference that day. Another lie. The next day, I decided to see for myself what was going on. Told her I had a lunch meeting with a client near her office. "Maybe we could grab coffee after," I suggested. "Oh, wish I could, but I'm swamped today. No real lunch break." I said I understood. Then, around lunchtime, I drove to her office, parked across the street where I could see the entrance to that Italian place she'd charged lunch at before. Sure enough, at 12:15, Kate walked in. But she wasn't alone. And it definitely wasn't with the whole office. Just one guy, tall, nice suit, perfect hair. They weren't sitting like colleagues. He pulled out her chair, touched her back as she sat down. They were sitting close, leaning in, laughing. She kept touching his arm when he said something funny. I felt like someone had punched me in the damn stomach. Literally had to lean over in my car because I thought I might puke. All those months of wondering what was wrong with me, why I wasn't good enough. And here she was, having lunch with some Ken doll in a three-piece suit. I wanted to storm in there and make a scene, flip their table, ask this dude if he knew she was married. But I just sat there, gripping my steering wheel so hard and took pictures. With my phone, not for some dramatic confrontation, I wasn't ready for that yet. But because I needed proof, needed to remind myself, later that I wasn't crazy, that I hadn't imagined all of this. When they came out an hour later, he hugged her goodbye. Not a quick, friendly hug, one of those lingering ones with his face in her hair. Then she checked her watch, fixed her lipstick, and headed back to the office like nothing happened. I sat in my car for another 20 minutes, just trying to process. Then I called Mia. "We need to talk," I said, "not over the phone." We met at a coffee shop way across town where there was zero chance of running into Kate. Mia looked uncomfortable when she sat down, like she regretted what she'd said that night at dinner. "I shouldn't have blurted it out like that," she said right away. "It wasn't my place, but I couldn't watch you beating yourself up anymore when I knew what was really going on." "Just tell me what you know," I said. "I need to hear it all." She sighed. "His name is Ethan. He's some hotshot oral surgeon at the practice. Been there about 6 months. Kate mentioned him a few times when we talked, then suddenly stopped bringing him up at all." That seemed weird to me. She took a sip of her coffee. "Then I saw them together at the mall a few weeks ago when Kate told me she was working late. They didn't see me. The way they were together, it wasn't friendly, Jake, it was intimate." I nodded, feeling weirdly calm. "Anything else?" "Emma's been covering for her. At least once that I know of. Kate told you she was with Emma one night, but she called me that same night, asking to borrow my black dress, completely forgetting she was supposed to be out with Emma already. We talked for over an hour. By the end, I wasn't even angry anymore, just empty, like someone had hollowed me out." "What are you going to do?" Mia asked. "I don't know yet," I said, but I'm not confronting her without a plan. On the drive home, I realized something. I'd been talking to Mia for an hour, and it was the most honest conversation I'd had with anyone in months. That said something about the state of my marriage right there. When I got home that night, Kate was already there, watching some reality show like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't been with another man just hours earlier, like our entire marriage wasn't a complete sham. "Hey," she said, barely looking up. "How was your day?" I almost laughed at how bizarre it was. Small talk after everything. "Fine," I said, and went to take a shower. I stood under the hot water for nearly an hour, letting it wash away the rage building inside. The next morning I met with a lawyer, found this guy through a coworker who'd been through a nasty divorce. He laid it all out, what documentation I needed, how to protect my finances, what to say and not say to Kate. Don't move out of the house, he warned. That's mistake number 1. And don't confront her until we're ready. The minute you do, this becomes a war, and she'll start hiding assets, deleting evidence, the works. I took his advice, went home, kissed Kate on the cheek like normal, watched TV beside her while she texted Ethan. Still made me sick knowing who was on the other end of those messages. Pretended not to notice when she'd take calls in the bathroom with the shower running. Meanwhile, I was documenting everything. Screenshots of credit card statements showing restaurant charges when she was working, late, notes about all her unexplained absences, photos of her and Ethan together when I could get them without being noticed. I also started separating our finances slowly so she wouldn't notice. Not everything, since that would tip her off, but enough that I wouldn't be completely screwed when love hit the fan. The hardest part was acting normal, having breakfast with her, making small talk, pretending I didn't know our marriage was a complete joke. I'd watch her get all dressed up for work, knowing exactly who she was really dressing for, and have to stop myself from saying something. During this time I kept talking to Mia. At first it was just about Kate and Ethan. She'd tell me when Kate had lied about her whereabouts, forward me social media posts where Kate had been tagged at places she'd never mentioned to me. Basic reconnaissance love. But after a while our conversations shifted. We'd grab coffee and end up talking about everything else. Movies, work, childhood stories, normal friend stuff. I learned more about Mia in those few weeks than I had in the 5 years I'd known her as Kate's stepsister. She was actually pretty cool, smart, funny in this dry, sarcastic way, and surprisingly easy to talk to. She didn't judge me for not confronting Kate immediately, or for the days when I was so angry I could barely form sentences. I get it, she said once when I was beating myself up for being so blind. You need to process this on your terms, not hers. One night, after a particularly rough day where I'd driven by Ethan's apartment complex and seen Kate's car parked there. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but I needed to confirm love for the divorce. Mia and I ended up at a coffee shop. As she was calling us an Uber, she said something that stuck with me. You know, Jake, Kate's an idiot. Not because she cheated, that makes her an a-hole. She's an idiot because she had someone who loved her completely, and she threw it away. Do you know how rare that is? The Uber came before I could respond, but her words stayed with me. The next morning, I called the lawyer and told him to finalize the divorce papers. I was done gathering evidence, done playing detective. I just needed to find the right moment to end things. I wanted Kate to know I wasn't blindsided, that I wasn't begging her to stay. I wanted her to understand exactly what she'd thrown away. The perfect opportunity came on a Thursday. About 3 weeks after I'd started my documentation project. Kate came home weirdly cheerful, which I'd learned was a red flag. The more cheerful she was, the bigger the lie she was about to tell. I made reservations for us at Bella tomorrow night, she said, referring to that Italian place where I'd seen her with Ethan. I thought we could use a nice dinner out, just the two of us. I knew immediately what this was, the fancy restaurant, the just the two of us emphasis. She was setting the stage for something big, and my gut told me it wasn't a reconciliation. My first thought was that she was going to tell me she wanted a divorce. Probably had it all planned out. She'd break the news somewhere public so I wouldn't make a scene. Then go straight to Ethan's place afterward. Or maybe Ethan would coincidentally show up at the restaurant, some dramatic reveal where she introduced him as her colleague who just happened to be dining alone, so she invited him to join us. Then, later, once I was softened up, she'd confess they had feelings for each other. Either way, she clearly thought she was in control of the situation. That she'd be the one to decide when and how our marriage ended. Not this time. Sounds great, I said, smiling like I meant it. I've been wanting to try that place. That night, I texted Mia, "It's happening tomorrow at Bella's." Her response was immediate. "What do you need from me?" I told her my plan. It was time to play the final card. The next day at work, I could barely focus. Kept checking my email. For the final divorce papers the lawyer was supposed to send over. They arrived around 2 p.m. I printed them out, put them in a manila envelope and tucked it into my jacket pocket. When I got home to change for dinner, Kate was already getting ready. She'd bought a new dress I'd never seen before, had her hair and makeup done professionally, was wearing perfume she normally saved for special occasions. All this effort for a dinner where she was planning to dump me. The absolute damn audacity. I put on my best shirt, That blue one she always said brought out my eyes, fixed my hair, even wore the cologne she'd given me last Christmas that I rarely used. If this was going to be our last dinner as a married couple, I wanted to look good for what came next. As we drove to Bella's, she made unusually animated small talk, work stories, gossip, about friends, even threw in a few nostalgic memories from our early days together. Softening me up for the kill, I guess. I played along, laughing at her stories, asking questions, acting like I was having a great time. Inside, my heart was pounding so hard I thought she might hear it. We got to the restaurant, and I wasn't surprised when the hostess led us to a table for 3. Kate looked momentarily panicked. "Oh, we're just 2, she told the hostess. "I apologize, ma'am. It says here a party of 3 under Lockwood." Kate laughed nervously. "There must be some mistake. It's just us tonight." I decided to play along. "Maybe they got us confused with another reservation." The hostess smiled tightly, clearly annoyed. "I'll have them set a 2-person table." One moment. As we waited, Kate's phone buzzed. She checked it, trying to be subtle, then excused herself to the bathroom. I already knew who it was. Probably Ethan, confirming whatever plan they had for tonight. I stood there, envelope heavy in my pocket, waiting for what would either be the most pathetic or most satisfying moment of my life. Either way, this love show was about to reach its finale. When she came back from her mysterious bathroom trip, we got seated at a nice corner table. Perfect spot for what she had planned. Private enough for a serious conversation, but public enough that I wouldn't make a scene. Pretty calculating when you think about it. She was barely touching her food, just pushing it around her plate. I noticed her eyes kept darting to the entrance every time the door opened, waiting for someone, obviously. I was trying to act normal, but my heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. The divorce papers felt like they were burning a hole in my jacket pocket. Part of me was terrified, not gonna lie. This was the moment where I'd either take back control or look like a complete idiot. After about 20 minutes of pointless small talk, Kate suddenly put down her fork, took a deep breath, and looked directly at me with this rehearsed expression. "Jake, I need to tell you something," she said, her voice oddly calm and detached. "I'm leaving you." She said it so casually, like she was telling me she'd picked up dry cleaning, like 5 years of marriage meant absolutely nothing. Before I could even respond, she continued, "I've been trying to make this work for a long time, but I can't do it anymore. We've grown apart. You're just not the man I thought you'd become." I sat there, feeling a strange mix of rage and bizarre amusement. She was actually doing it, delivering her breakup speech that she'd probably practiced in the mirror. "I deserve to be happy," she went on, gaining confidence when I didn't immediately respond. "And the truth is, I've met someone who challenges me in ways you never could." Then she went for the jugular. "You've always been so content with mediocrity, Jake. Same job, same friends, same boring routines. I need more than that. I need someone with ambition, with drive, someone who pushes me to be better." Each word was designed to cut deep, to make me feel small. And a few months ago, it would have worked. I would have been devastated, begging her to reconsider, promising to change. But not today. I sat back in my chair staring at her, letting the silence stretch uncomfortably long. She started to fidget. "Aren't you going to say anything?" she finally asked. "Is Ethan joining us, or is he waiting for your signal?" I asked calmly. Her face went completely white, the confidence drained away instantly. "What? Who's Ethan?" she stammered, eyes wide with panic. "Oh, you don't know Ethan? He's the oral surgeon you've been banging for the past 3 months. Is he joining us, or were you planning to meet him after crushing my spirit?" She opened and closed her mouth several times, no words coming out. It was like watching someone's entire plan collapse in real time. "How did you know?" she started. I finished for her. "I've known for a while, Kate. The late nights, the changed password on your phone, the secret texts. Did you really think I was that stupid? It's not what you— Save it," I cut her off. "I don't care about your excuses. I don't care about Ethan. I just want you to know that you're not blindsiding me. I've been 10 steps ahead of you this whole time." I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out the manila envelope. "If you wanted out, you could have just said so," I said, sliding the envelope across the table. "Instead, you dragged it out for months, making me think I was the problem." She opened the envelope with shaking hands, then stared at the divorce papers inside. "You're filing for divorce?" "Already filed," I corrected her. Those are your copies. My lawyer will contact yours on Monday. The shock on her face was incredible. This wasn't following her script at all. But, I don't understand. I was going to tell you tonight. I was going to tell you that we could still be friends. I laughed, actually laughed out loud. Friends? After months of lying to my face, after planning this little public humiliation, you really think that highly of yourself, don't you? Her phone buzzed on the table. Ethan, right on cue. She glanced at it, then back at me. Go ahead. I nodded at her phone. Tell your boyfriend plans have changed. Shakily, she picked up her phone and stepped away from the table. When she came back, her composure was cracking. Jake, I think we should talk about this more. Maybe we rushed. One more thing. I cut her off again, checking my watch. I didn't come alone either. I sent a quick text to Mia. The restaurant door opened, and Mia walked in. She spotted us and headed our way. Kate's eyes widened in disbelief. You brought my stepsister to our breakup dinner? She hissed. No, I corrected as Mia reached our table. I just brought my date to bring some vibes after this boring dinner. I stood up, dropped enough cash on the table to cover the bill, and offered Mia my arm. Ready? Mia smiled, took my arm, and together we walked past a speechless Kate. At the door, I turned back one last time. My face must have been cold as ice because Kate actually flinched. By the way, I've known about Ethan since the day you first met him. Mia's been keeping me updated. Every lie, every late night at the office, we've been laughing about it for months. That wasn't entirely true, but the look on Kate's face was worth the embellishment. As we walked to my car, Mia squeezed my arm. You okay? I took a deep breath of the cool night air. The anger was subsiding, leaving behind something that felt like freedom. Surprisingly, yeah, I really am. We ended up going to a bar across town. I bought Mia a drink to thank her for playing along with my plan. Neither of us really felt like celebrating. It wasn't that kind of night, but it felt good to be with someone who knew the whole truth and was on my side. That was pretty brutal, Mia said after a while. I've never seen you like that before. I shrugged. She was planning to humiliate me in public, to sit there and tell me I wasn't good enough, that I was mediocre, while she'd been cheating for months. She deserved worse. Mia nodded slowly. Still, the cold, calculated way you handled it, I didn't know you had that in you. Neither did I admitted, but I'm not sorry. Not even a little bit. As I drove Mia home, I realized Kate had probably already called Ethan to pick her up from the restaurant. She might not even come home tonight. I was right. When I got home, the house was empty. Kate didn't come back until the next afternoon. By then, I'd already packed a bag. I wasn't leaving permanently. Rick had been very clear about staying in the house. But I needed a few days away to clear my head. As I was zipping up my duffel bag, Kate came into the bedroom, her eyes red. Where are you going? She asked, her voice small. Chris's place. Just for a few days while you figure out where you're going to live. You're kicking me out now? She sounded angry. I'm the primary on the mortgage. I have the right to stay. But I'll give you some time to make arrangements. She stared at me like I was a stranger. In a way, I guess I was. She thought I would beg her to stay or blame myself, but that guy was gone. What happened to you? She whispered. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, You did. Then I walked out with my bag, got in my car, and drove to Chris's place without looking back once. I crashed at Chris's place for about a week, told him everything that happened. The affair, the divorce papers, the whole restaurant scene. He was impressed, not gonna lie. Dude, ice cold, he said, laughing as he handed me a beer. Didn't think you had it in you. But of course, Kate wasn't going down without a fight. The next day, my phone blew up with texts and calls. First angry messages calling me every name in the book. Then tearful voicemails begging me to talk. Then threats about how she'd take me for everything I had. I didn't respond to any of it. Just forwarded the threatening ones to Rick and blocked her number. Her meltdown wasn't my problem anymore. When I finally went back to the house, Kate was waiting for me, eyes all puffy, looking like she hadn't slept in days. She followed me around while I grabbed more clothes, asking if we could please just talk. About what? I asked, not even looking at her while I packed. You made yourself pretty clear at dinner. You said you're leaving me, remember? Why don't you just leave then? I didn't mean that, she cried. I was just saying what I thought would hurt you. Please, Jake, you can't just throw away 5 years because of one mistake. I nearly laughed. One mistake, Kate? You've been sleeping with this guy for months, lying to my face every day. That's not a mistake. It's a choice. A series of choices. She switched tactics, trying anger. Is this about Mia? Are you seriously banging my stepsister to get back at me? That's sick, Jake. I just smiled. What Mia and I do is none of your business anymore. You gave up the right to ask about my personal life when you decided to cheat. So you are with her, Kate said, her voice rising. How long has this been going on? You cheating too? Is that why you're so eager to divorce me? I laughed out loud. That's rich coming from you. No, Kate. Unlike you, I don't cheat. But what happens now that we're done? That's my business. She looked at me like I was a stranger. What happened to you? I woke up, I said simply. Now, I want you out of the house by next weekend. Take whatever furniture you brought into the marriage. The rest stays. She started crying again, but I was immune to it now. Her tears had lost all power over me. Where am I supposed to go? She sobbed. Not my problem, I shrugged. Call Ethan. I'm sure he'd love to have you move in. As I walked out the door with my stuff, I heard her scream something about how I'd regret this. I didn't even turn around, just got in my car and drove off. Felt damn great, honestly. The rumors started flying almost immediately. Kate told everyone who would listen that I'd been cheating with Mia all along. I didn't bother correcting anyone, let them think what they wanted. The people who mattered knew the truth. The real explosion came when Kate's family got involved. Her mom called me, absolutely livid, screaming about how I was a disgusting person for hooking up with Mia behind Kate's back. I just let her rant, then calmly said, maybe you should ask your daughter about her oral surgeon boyfriend before pointing fingers. Then her dad called, same accusations. I gave him the same response. By the end of the week, their family was in complete chaos. Kate's parents were fighting with each other about whose fault it was their daughter cheated. Kate and Mia's mutual friends were taking sides. Kate's older brother, who'd always liked me, called to say he believed me and thought Kate had messed up royally. Meanwhile, Mia and I kept being seen together around town. We weren't actually dating, just friends hanging out, but we didn't correct anyone's assumptions. Let Kate think what she wanted. The mental torture of imagining her stepsister with her ex-husband was perfect revenge. The legal battle wasn't as dramatic as I expected. Kate contested everything at first, demanded alimony despite making more than me, tried to claim I was abusive with zero evidence. But my lawyer was good at his job, and I had documentation of her affair. In the end, she got less than she wanted, and I kept the house after buying out her portion. The divorce was finalized 3 months later. I didn't feel anything special, just another day. Kate moved in with Ethan, into one of those luxury apartments downtown that she always wanted. According to mutual friends, they're already having problems. Turns out Mr. Perfect has been caught texting other women twice. She tried to reach out to me recently, some love about missing our friendship. I left her on read. Not my circus, not my monkeys. As for me, life's better than ever. The house is fully mine now. I redecorated immediately, painted the walls colors Kate always hated, got a PS5 and gaming setup she always said was childish. I also got a dog from the shelter named Rex, who sleeps on the bed and doesn't give a love if I leave clothes on the floor. And Mia? That's where things got interesting. What started as a let's mess with Kate charade turned into something real. We kept showing up together at places we knew Kate would hear about, posting pics together on social media, the works. Kate was losing her mind, thinking her stepsister had stolen her husband. Her family completely imploded. Half of them wouldn't speak to Mia, the other half thought Kate deserved every bit of it. At first, Mia and I were just friends, playing along with everyone's assumptions. But spending all that time together, something started to change. One night, after we'd grabbed dinner at Kate's favorite restaurant deliberately, Mia stopped me in the parking lot. You know, this whole fake dating thing has been fun, she said, but I'm starting to wonder if we're still pretending. I was caught off guard. What do you mean? She looked at me straight on. I mean, from day one, I watched how you handled this whole mess. You set boundaries and refused to be disrespected. Most guys I know would have fallen apart, but you just got tougher. And I'm really attracted to that kind of strength, she continued, stepping closer and putting her hand on my chest. A real man like you doesn't deserve to get screwed over. You deserve someone who actually sees what they've got. Then she just leaned in and kissed me, like it was the most natural thing in the world. And damn, I fell hard for that. That night changed everything. Turns out, Mia had feelings for me almost from the beginning, but held back because of the whole divorce situation and not wanting to be the rebound girl. But as weeks turned into months, it became harder for her to pretend. We decided to give it a real shot without telling anyone, not even to correct their assumptions. Let them think what they wanted. The only difference was, now we weren't faking it. Kate found out we were actually together and she completely lost it. Sent Mia this long, unhinged text about betrayal and sister code, conveniently forgetting she'd been the one to cheat first. Mia just forwarded it to me with the laughing emoji. So, what's the takeaway from all this? Stand up for yourself. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're not enough. Document everything. And when someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Last week, I ran into Kate's mom at the grocery store. She actually apologized for how she reacted during the divorce, said she'd finally gotten the full story from one of Kate's friends who couldn't keep the secret anymore. She looked embarrassed when she mentioned how she'd accused me of cheating with Mia. So, you and Mia are actually together now? She asked awkwardly. I just smiled and grabbed my bags. Mia's the best thing that came out of this whole mess. Have a nice day, Mrs. Lockwood. Her face when I said that? Priceless. So, that's my story, bros? Not the happily ever after I planned, but maybe an even better one. Sometimes, the person who helps you through your darkest times is the one who deserves to be there for the brightest ones too. Drop your thoughts below if you've been through something similar or have any advice.